Bounty hunters are some of the deadliest, cunning, and well-equipped people in the Star Wars galaxy. Operating on the fringes of the galaxy with moral obscurity, bounty hunters add an element of instability to the heroes versus villains conflict of Star Wars. Working for the highest bidder, they relentlessly pursue their prey across space and on numerous worlds until they capture or kill them. They're also sometimes called upon for specialized scenarios when their benefactors need outside-the-box assistance to get the job done. Starting us off is the deadly Durge. Durge was a male Jedi bounty hunter who was active in the galaxy for almost 2,000 years. Able to survive several near-death situations due to his Jedi heritage and enhanced battle armor, he fought in several wars and collected a multitude of bounties. Over the centuries, Durge acquired a deep distaste for Mandalorians and even killed their leader at some point. As a result of both personal tragedy and torture, he became increasingly mentally unstable. Tempted by the idea of killing Republic clone troopers, Durge was recruited into the Confederacy of Independent Systems during the Clone Wars. Given the rank of commander, he performed several key missions for Count Dooku himself, and led the droid forces into combat on more than one occasion. Durge had a number of cybernetic implants on his body that allowed him to use heavy combat armor more efficiently. His own neural network worked in tandem with his armor's computer system, and his helmet's targeting system was directly connected into his optic nerves. The armor itself was specifically crafted to increase balance and agility, and was painted with a large symbol that resembled his mentor Jango. He wielded an arsenal of powerful weapons, along with a pair of blaster pistols and a rifle. He also was equipped with a jetpack and energized bolas. His armor sported machine gun gauntlets, a wrist-mounted flamethrower, a spiked flail, dart launchers, and energy shields capable of blocking lightsaber attacks for a short time. When unrestricted by his armor, he could extend his body parts long enough to strike down faraway opponents, and could even sharpen parts of his body to create a claw-like weapon instantly. 6 months after the beginning of the Clone Wars, Durge and Asajj Ventress were ordered by Dooku to search a space station for an unknown intruder. As Durge voiced his disapproval of the seemingly menial task, he was struck from behind by Grievous, Dooku's new subordinate, and flung through several items of the gallery. Even Ventress could not match the speed of the cyborg and was knocked out. Durge recovered quickly and answered Grievous's onslaught with a punch that sent the cyborg general flying across the room into a wall. That did little to slow him down, and he managed to behead Durge with one of his lightsabers and strangle Ventress. Grievous proceeded to deliver their bodies to Dooku himself, who had arranged the fight to test the cyborg's abilities. Not wanting to lose two faithful soldiers, Dooku made sure Durge and Ventress were given back to treatment. Speaking of Ventress, she actually became a bounty hunter later on in the Clone Wars. Asajj Ventress was a Dathomirian female who was at various points throughout her life a slave, Jedi Padawan, assassin of the Sith, Night Sister, and a bounty hunter. Asajj Ventress was a master of Darkai, a style she acquired after the death of her first master, Kai Narek, taking up his lightsaber alongside her own. Under Count Dooku, the style in her new curved lightsabers enabled her to combine them into a bizarre, though effective S-shaped double-bladed weapon known as a split saber. Ventress was viewed by Obi-Wan Kenobi as having immense willpower, with more experience in the Force than many Jedi Knights. As the Clone Wars progressed, Dooku's own master, Darth Sidious, became increasingly wary of Ventress's growing strength in the Force, and ultimately ordered him to eliminate his apprentice in a show of loyalty. Dooku complied, and during the Battle of Sullust, betrayed Ventress and left her for dead. Resolving to make a new life for herself, Ventress returned to Dathomir to formally rejoin her clan and forego further plans for revenge, but Dooku wouldn't allow it. Dooku targeted the Night Sisters for harboring his former apprentice and dispatched Grievous and his droid army to massacre the Dathomirian witches. Mother Talzin and Ventress were among the few survivors of the slaughter and were forced to separately flee Dathomir to escape Dooku's wrath. Ventress was deeply hurt by the loss of her family and took to wandering the galaxy in search of a purpose, ultimately turning to bounty hunting. This line of work forced her to adopt a series of unexpected alliances, like rescuing Obi-Wan Kenobi from the clutches of former Sith Lord Maul and Savage Opress, and worked alongside Ahsoka Tano when she was falsely accused of bombing the Jedi Temple. Another bounty hunter that was very successful during the Clone Wars was Cad Bane. Cad Bane was a Duros male bounty hunter in the galaxy during the Clone Wars. He was considered the best and one of the most experienced bounty hunters in the galaxy during the Clone Wars due to the death of Jango Fett at the first Battle of Geonosis in 22 BBY. Although his infamy grew during the Clone Wars in particular, Bane had a high standing amongst other bounty hunters, working with the likes of Aurra Sing years before the onset of the war. He specialized in fighting Jedi and dueled with some of the most skilled Jedi during the Clone Wars, including Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker. His reputation led him to be repeatedly hired by Darth Sidious, working for him on numerous projects, including infiltrating the Jedi Temple to steal a Kyber memory crystal containing a list of Force-sensitive children throughout the galaxy. Bane was a skilled bounty hunter, relying on various weapons as well as his wits to defeat enemies. The combination of his jet boots, weapons such as the whipcord thrower and flamethrower, and knowing when he was outmatched proven useful in numerous encounters with the Jedi Knights. Bane was known for wielding a pair of LL-30 blaster pistols and wearing his trademark wide-brimmed hat. I remember when the second season of Clone Wars aired and being really pissed off at this guy for being a huge problem for the Jedi and always getting away with it. Just watching him slip through Anakin, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, and Mace Windu had me fired up and going. Bane was still active during the early reign of the Galactic Empire. At this time, he was hired by Kaminoan Prime Minister Lama Su to retrieve an unaltered female clone named Omega, although he was thwarted by the intervention of fellow hunter Fennec Shan and Clone Force 99. Someone else who had some run-ins with Cad Bane was Boba Fett. Boba Fett was a human male bounty hunter whose career spanned decades, from the fall of the Republic to the rise of the Empire. Originally codenamed Alpha, he was an unaltered clone from the famed Mandalorian bounty hunter Jango Fett. Boba emulated his father and genetic donor by wearing a customized suit of Mandalorian armor. His personal starship was Slave 1, a Firespray 31 class patrol and attack craft that once belonged to Jango. Trained in combat and martial arts skills from a young age, Boba was one of the most feared bounty hunters in the galaxy during the reign of Emperor Palpatine. He became a legend over the course of his career, which included contracts for both the Empire and extensive criminal underworlds. Boba's talents as a bounty hunter were infamous across the galaxy, and he became well known to galactic fugitives who had bounties on their heads. From a young age, Boba was trained by his father in combat skills, both in hand-to-hand combat and weapons, able to handle a blaster at a young age while being deadly in battle scenarios. Boba helped Jango fight against Obi-Wan Kenobi on Kamino, displaying his ability to utilize heavy weapons on Slave 1. His skills grew throughout the years, and despite his body condition, was still capable of using strategy tactics and brute force to make short work of a stormtrooper contingent. He displayed an affinity for leadership as he formed his own syndicate of bounty hunters. He also commanded loyalty to those who were close to him, such as Bosk, and could communicate in Fett code with his father Jango. Unlike Jango's armor, Boba changed the color mostly to green. He regularly wore a Z6 jetpack, and his wrist gauntlets were equipped with a flamethrower, vibroblades, whipcord launcher, and wrist laser. Inside the knee pads were rocket dart launchers, and the shoulders were adorned with braids that Boba displayed as trophies of defeated prey. But Boba is of course the son of the most deadliest bounty hunter, who was Jango Fett. Jango Fett was a Mandalorian foundling human male bounty hunter and the clone template of the Grand Army of the Republic. Known as the best bounty hunter in the galaxy during the final years of the Galactic Republic, Fett was proficient in marksmanship as well as unarmed combat. Considered an ultimate soldier, Fett was incredibly skilled, earning himself his reputation. In particular, Fett's skills were unique because he was able to be very successful despite only being a human. Jango Fett wore a set of energized Mandalorian armor and piloted a custom Firespray 31 class patrol and attack craft named Slave 1 throughout his career, which his son Boba inherited upon his death. He owned a pair of customized Concordian Crescent Technologies Westar 34 blaster pistols with hollowed out grips, and used a Z6 jetpack with a built-in missile launcher. He used a number of gadgets hidden in his gauntlets, including retractable vibroblades, a whipcord thrower, a wrist-mounted grappling hook, and a ZX miniature flame projector. Born to a family of farmers, Fett grew up alongside his older sister Arla on the world of Conquered Dawn, an agricultural planet in the Mandalore sector known for being long associated with the Mandalorians. Unfortunately, tragedy struck as Jango's family was killed by Death Watch for helping the real Mandalorians. As the real Mandalorians fought off Death Watch, Jango was left with no family or home to go back to, so the Mandalorians took him in as one of their own. 22 years before the Battle of Geonosis, Fett and his Mandalorians were hired to put down an insurrection on the planet Galadron. Claiming that Mandalorians were murdering political activists along with women and children, Vizsla's own forces provided a body count of innocents and begged the Jedi Council to step in and put a stop to them. Led by Jedi Master Dooku, the Jedi took the governor at his word and called on the Mandalorians to surrender on suspected murder charges. Jango ordered his troops to open fire, but the blasters were reflected by the Jedi's lightsabers. Fett ordered the use of projectiles and provisions for cover via jetpacks. Even utilizing a jetpack, Miles, who was Jango's friend, was killed by one of the Jedi. It was then that Jango would carry out the act that would make him both famous and infamous for the rest of his life and career. Using no weapons beyond his own hands, feet, and armored body, Fett vengefully killed 6 Jedi, including the one responsible for Miles' death. Jango is literally the definition of badass, as he single-handedly, with no equipment and just his bare hands, took on multiple Jedi and killed them. If that doesn't show and prove to you that he's the best, then I don't know what will.